Hey, this is Andy here with Libertarian Revolution. Today I'm coming to you from Lancaster, New Hampshire for Porcfest 2025, Porcupine Freedom Festival. Been wanting to come here for many years, but never been able to make it. I started following the Free State Project way back when the late Walter E. Williams, I should say late great Walter E. Williams, wrote an article suggesting that American citizens who believe in liberty should all move to one state and try to take it over. Should do that. This article inspired a guy named Jason Sorens to start the Free State Project, and he set up a website for it, and there was debate online for maybe a year or so. They ended up narrowing the list down to 10 states. Those 10 states, were Alaska, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, North Dakota, South Dakota, Delaware, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. And they had a vote, this was in the fall of 2003, to select which of these 10 states would become the Free State Project state. And I followed the debate online. I participated in some of the debates. But unfortunately, I forgot to register to vote to be in the debate or the vote for the state. You had to register online, and I was busy with work at the time, and so I missed that vote. So I did not get any input in it. But New Hampshire ended up winning. Now, was I going to vote for New Hampshire? Probably not. I probably actually would have voted for North Dakota to be the Free State Project state. Anyway, New Hampshire won. I don't think New Hampshire was necessarily a bad choice. I've never been convinced that it was the best choice, but I certainly don't think it's a bad choice either. It has a lot of things going for it. Anyway, so about a year later, or I guess maybe a little less than a year later, summer 2004, an event called the Porcupine Freedom Festival started. And it's been an annual summer camping gathering of libertarians in New Hampshire. And anyway, I've been wanting to come here for many years, and I've missed it. I have been to New Hampshire before, but this is a state that I haven't really spent a whole lot of time in. I have been to the 48 contiguous states, Washington, D.C., and Puerto Rico. Never been to Hawaii or Alaska. But I have been to New Hampshire a few times, but I've mostly just passed through it. I got motels here a couple of times for the night, but never spent much time here. And I've never been to northern New Hampshire. So anyway, I've been wanting to come for many years. This is the 25th, or no, this is not the 25th. It's been since 2004. I guess this is the 21st Porcfest. And so I was, finally able to make it up this way. This is in Lancaster, New Hampshire, the Rogers Campground, it's called. You see the sign right there. Right in that building right there, that's one of the places where they have speakers, and they're having this thing there called Soapbox Hero. It's an annual event, I've heard of it here, where people kind of get up on their soapbox, and I guess they rant about various issues, and then the audience votes on who had the best rant. So anyway, I'm just going to walk around here, Porcfest, and just give everybody an idea of what it looks like. It kind of looks like a tent city or something. Looks like something out of a movie. Okay, they've got some motel rooms up there. That's for the people who are a little less ambitious when it comes to camping. They've got some tents down there where they have various events, and there are people running around in the field, and they had these kind of like, I don't know if they were soccer balls or what you would call them, but the balls down there, as you might see, have some of the event sponsors on it. Edge cryptocurrency wallet is here. They're a really, really awesome crypto wallet, and right next to them there's Pirate Chain, which is a really awesome private cryptocurrency that's it's so private that no government entity has been able to track it. Same thing with Monero and Xano. which are also here, which are also really good private by default cryptocurrencies. Also down there, there's a couple people wearing yellow shirts. I don't know if you can see them. They're from Anarchapulco. That's an annual libertarian conference held in Mexico, started by the dollar vigilante Jeff Berwick, who is also here, and he spoke a couple of times. I saw him speak. I talked to him briefly. And I actually, if you go back on this channel, I went to Anarchapulco in Mexico in 2018 and actually interviewed Jeff Berwick. So you can go back through the older videos here and watch that interview. Jeff Berwick is a pretty awesome guy. He's always got interesting things to say. Anyway, so I'm going to be walking around here, and this is the motel portion of it. By the way, if you ever come up here, the motel rooms up here are pretty darn expensive. I was looking at Priceline for rooms. A lot of them are like $200 a night, $300, $400, $500 a night. Now I don't know if they just have them really high because it's Porcfest. I think they're actually always fairly expensive around here. I did find one that was around $135 a night. And they thought they had a room, but it was actually sold out. Okay, anyway, they've got a swimming pool. And here's the swimming pool. I don't know if you can see it. This is the swimming pool at the Rogers Campground. Okay, and coming up here is I guess this is an office and a gift shop. And I'm going to walk down here. Okay. Now, I'd always wondered, why not just like buy the Rogers Campground and establish a libertarian private city here. Some people comment how Porcfest is like a libertarian city, but it only lasts for about a week at a campground. So how about making something like this year-round? Just buy property and just a bunch of pro-liberty people can move here. But anyway, there are some buildings here. I don't know if these are cabins people rent or if there's people who actually do live here. Some of them, it looks like people actually live there, but I don't know. There's also a house on the premises. I'm just guessing that maybe whoever owns this campground may live in this house. I don't know. So anyway, I'm just walking around here. It's a family-friendly event, so a lot of people bring kids. Okay. Still walking around. And now, as far as attendance, I don't know how many people are here. I'm going to guess it's over 1,000. I've heard that there have been better attended Porcfests in the past. So somebody was telling me a couple years ago there were a lot more people here. Okay. Walking around, see what's down here. A lot of people just set up and start selling stuff. Some people are making food and selling food and drinks, and there's other stuff. Really beautiful here. Weather's really nice too. It's like, this is like what I would call, it's like perfect weather. At least this time of year anyway. This is a very rural area, very secluded. I think you gotta travel like 40 or 50 miles to like the nearest rest stop. There is a small truck stop not too far from here. But last night I was looking for a place to eat, and like all the restaurants and the grocery store, there's a Shaw's grocery store here, which is a big chain, I believe, based out of Massachusetts. And they were closed at 9 o'clock. So stuff shuts down early here. Okay. I don't think I've walked down here yet. Yeah, this reminds me of something out of a movie. Now, I believe the event starts on Monday, and I thought it ended Monday morning, but apparently it ends like early Sunday afternoon. So today's Saturday. Ross Ulbricht was apparently here, but I unfortunately missed it. I don't know if he's still hanging around or not. But of course, he was fortunately set free from prison earlier this year. He was serving time, double life sentence plus like 40 years or something like that, for setting up an online trading platform in Bitcoin. And there were people in the government that didn't like that he was doing that. So, but anyway, after a long lobbying effort led by his mother, Lynn, who is also here, although I have not seen her, and you know, there were lots of libertarians and people like Rand Paul and Tom Massey and Ron Paul and people from the Libertarian Party, such as the former chairwoman Angela McArdle, lobbied, and fortunately Trump decided to throw libertarians a few breadcrumbs. Not to say that Trump's a libertarian, because he is not, but he threw us a few breadcrumbs by setting Ross Ulbricht free, so that's nice. Didn't really change any laws, and there's lots of other people that are locked up for victimless crimes or things that are unconstitutional, or people who've been falsely convicted or convicted on trumped up charges, politically motivated charges, exaggerated charges, etc., that are still in prison. But at least one of those people who was in a very high profile case has been set free. And anyway, still walking around here. Okay. All right. Not sure what other events are taking place. New Hampshire's pretty far for a lot of people. I think that's why more people haven't come up here who are libertarians. It's not bad if you're in the Northeast, but I've every time I've never come up here and really spent an extended period of time, like I said earlier, and due to work circumstances, I do a lot of traveling for work, and I spent a lot of time in Massachusetts and in Maine, but not in New Hampshire. So, as I said earlier, and this part of New Hampshire is really sparse in population. That is northern New Hampshire. Might be a good place to be if there's a nuclear war or something. Anyway, still walking around here. Gonna head back down and like to find something to eat. The food here is a bit pricey. Ordered a double cheeseburger earlier from one of the vendors here, and it was good. It was very good. It was a very good burger. But you know, it was $11, which is a little bit high. But I guess everything here is high, so not that again, it was a very good burger, but I just figured, you know, for $11 it could be a little bit bigger. So looks like we've got another food vendor here selling coffee. Okay. Oh, I guess I'll go back and I'll look at the trailers. Like I said, I don't know if people live here or not. It looks like there might be some people who may live here. Some of these could be rentals, though. Okay, there's that looks like a permanent or a fixture that's attached to the ground. I don't see any wheels there. Okay. So anyway, in the past when Porcfest was going, I've been off, you know, working in other states. Also, I've been to 10 Libertarian Party national conventions, and I went to one in the year 2000, and then I've been to every one since 2008. And they're held every other year, so every even year since 2008. And the Libertarian National Conventions are held not too long before Porcfest. They're usually before Porcfest. There have been some that were held a little bit after Porcfest, but I haven't really been in a position where I can, you know, shell out some money to go to a Libertarian National Convention and then also go to Porcfest. So that's another reason I haven't been. But anyway, it's also a long way up here. Like I said, a lot of times I've been off in other states. You know, I was in California. I was in, you know, Washington, Colorado, Arkansas, North Dakota, and other places that were far from New Hampshire. So I was in Pennsylvania, you know, and drove up here from Pennsylvania. It was it's like a 540-mile drive. Okay, now here I'm getting into the area where I see trailers, and again, I don't know if these trailers are for rent on a temporary basis or if there's people who live here year-round. Okay, still walking around. Haven't been down this area yet. He's got a lawnmower. Looks like they might live here or something, or maybe they're full-time motorhome people. Sometimes there's people who live full-time in motorhomes or campers. A lot of times they're older, retired people. And some of them, they're kind of like weather chasers. They'll go north in the winter and go south in the summer. So maybe there's some people around here like that. Anyway, still walking around here. What is this? Okay, haven't been in this area yet. Now, see, that looks like a permanent building that's, you know, attached to the ground. Don't know if anybody lives there or if it's a rental property or what. There's a trailer with wheels on it. Mountains here, very beautiful. Trees. Okay. Okay. Wonder. It's around the back of the Rogers campground. Okay. See what the heck's down here. There's a gazebo. So as far as the Free State Project goes, I like the idea. So the Free State Project, their goal was to get 20,000 liberty-minded people to sign a pledge that they would all move to New Hampshire once New Hampshire hit 20,000 signers, or once the petition, or whatever you call it, the pledge, hit 20,000 signers, and they would all move here and engage in various forms of pro-liberty activism to try to, you know, make New Hampshire a libertarian state, or at least as libertarian or pro-liberty or free as possible, you know. I think it's a good idea in practice. How's it been working out? I mean, I think they've had some victories, but it's not easy. New Hampshire, I believe, has somewhere in the ballpark of 1.4 million people. And their state legislature has 400 legislators, which makes it the largest state legislature in the country. And it's a low population state, so that means they have a lot of small districts. The Libertarian Party here hasn't really been overly successful. They did elect some libertarians to the state legislature as actual libertarians, you know, with the L next to their name, back in the 1990s. I believe at one point they had 4 of them in the state legislature. And I guess they gradually either didn't run for re-election or got voted out. And the last one voted in was in 1998, and I believe went out of office in 2000. The Free State Project, New Hampshire was selected in the fall of 2003. And so it's been the Free State Project state since then. The Libertarian Party here has been held back a bit by the ballot access laws. There's a petition to get full party status, which requires something like 27,000 valid signatures or something. It's, I believe it's based on voter turnout in an election. I'd have to look it up, probably for governor, maybe president or something like that. And I know the number used to be lower, but I guess it goes up with population increases and voter turnout. And I think the Libertarian Party has done that petition one time in the last couple of decades. That was 2011 to 2012. It used to be you could start the petition in the odd year, and you'd have, I think, around a year to collect the signatures. But the law got changed. So after the Libertarian Party did this, and that gave the party full party status, and then they could nominate candidates to run for any partisan office, and this did not require any additional petition signatures. I think all they had to do was file a declaration of candidacy. And so the Libertarian Party did this for the 2012 election, and then after 2012 they changed the law and made it so you couldn't start the petition in the odd year. You could only start it in the even year, which cut the circulation window, I believe, in half. And so since then, they haven't had it together to be able to do that. And now that's not really a knock on the LP of New Hampshire, because the National Party, that's the LNC, Libertarian National Committee, typically assists with things like that. And the National Committee just, hasn't really had it together to assist with something like that. So what they've done here in New Hampshire, they also have individual candidate petitions where you can petition to get a specific candidate who's named on the petition form. And for their statewide offices, they need 3,000 valid signatures. And there's a distribution requirement of 1,500 valid out of each of New Hampshire's 2 congressional districts. Now, there's some complications to that. New Hampshire only allows 1 signature per page. The only other state that I know of that does that is Florida. So typically on a petition, there'll be 10 signatures per page, sometimes 20, maybe 15, maybe 5. But this is only 1 signature per page. So that means you need a lot of paper here. It's really kind of a wasteful use of paper in a sense, because there's no reason you can't have, more than 1 signature on a page. And they use a whole 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper for this. So anyway, the other thing is a New Hampshire voter can only sign a candidate for a petition for 1 candidate for each office. So if there's more than 1 person collecting signatures to get on the ballot for president or governor or U.S. House or whatever, a New Hampshire registered voter can only sign 1 of them. So that's another complication. And also, they have to turn in the signatures to each of the city or town clerk's offices. And then the city and town clerks check the validity of the signatures by matching them up against the voter rolls. And then they have to pick them up and deliver them to the Secretary of State's office. So in most states, you just deliver them to the Secretary of State's office. So there's this added step here in New Hampshire, which is really a hassle. They do this in other New England states as well. Now, the states that make up New England, or what's considered to be the New England region of the country, are Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts. So anyway, and then, New York is northeast, but it's not New England. Same thing with New Jersey and Pennsylvania. Anyway, a lot of libertarians have been running as Republicans in New Hampshire. Oh, back to the Libertarian Party and the ballot access laws here. So New Hampshire is the only state in the country that elects their governor every other year. So it's the governor of New Hampshire only serves a 2-year term. And so there's another way a party can get full party status here, and that is by running a candidate for governor who gets at least 3% of the vote. And I know LP of New Hampshire has done this a few times. I don't think they've done it lately. I'm not sure when the last time it happened was, but I know they do not have ballot status right now. Oh, back to the party status petition. So the law was changed after 2012, saying that they couldn't start this petition until the even year. So they took away like half of their circulation window. That's the signature gathering time frame. And a lawsuit was filed over this. And unfortunately, our side lost that lawsuit. Now, interesting thing about that, the exact opposite happened in Rhode Island. Rhode Island also has a party status petition that's relatively difficult for the size of the state. And they actually did the exact opposite in Rhode Island. They had said that at one time that you couldn't do the party status petition until the even year, but then they changed it so they could start it in the odd year and work it till the even year. So they have a long time to collect the signatures. Now, as far as the Libertarian Party goes, I don't think the Libertarian Party's ever done the party status petition in Rhode Island. They have individual candidate petitions there that they've done that have lower requirements. And I believe in Rhode Island, it's 5% of the vote for either, I think it's either governor or president, that can get a party recognition status so they can put candidates on the ballot, you know, without having to collect additional petition signatures. Okay, anyway, but a lot of the Libertarians in New Hampshire have been running as Republicans. Some actually did try going the Democrat route, and I recall hearing about one that got elected to the state legislature, and I already caused some controversy when he voted to increase the minimum wage, which may be in line with Democrats, but it's not with Libertarians. But anyway, there's been a lot more crossover with the Republicans. I mean, that's just not here in New Hampshire, but just nationally. The Democratic Party just kind of openly embraces socialism too much. That's not to say that the Republicans are really any good either. But at least Republicans, a lot of them will pretend to support smaller government. A lot of them really don't, but they at least pretend, and you know, sometimes they do to varying degrees. I mean, and also it depends on, you know, which Republican you're talking about. But I mean, ultimately both the major parties are corrupt, and that's why we have a lot of the problems that we have. But anyway, there's been Libertarians in New Hampshire who've run as Republicans, and some of them have actually gotten elected. Apparently, they've got some in the state legislature right now. I don't know how many of them there are, but you've got to get a lot of people elected here in order to get anything done, because there's such a huge state legislature with 400 people. So it would take electing 201 people to get a majority in the state legislature. So anyway, a lot of Libertarians in New Hampshire have engaged in other forms of activism, you know, jury nullification, promoting cryptocurrency. New Hampshire is supposed to have more cryptocurrency users per capita than any other state. And in fact, unfortunately, a well-known activist here in New Hampshire, Ian Freeman, I think his real name is actually Ian Bernard. I don't know if he legally changed his last name to Freeman or not. But anyway, Ian Bernard, or Ian Freeman, he was one of the early movers here. And he and a guy named Mark Edgington started a political talk radio show called Free Talk Live, and they're based in Keene, New Hampshire. They started a thing called Free Keene, where they're trying to get liberty lovers to move to Keene. Anyway, unfortunately, Ian Freeman is in prison right now on what I would call false, exaggerated, trumped up, politically motivated charges stemming from him operating Bitcoin ATMs. And I'm not going to get into a lot of details about it. I followed his case. I think he was, he was falsely convicted. He was basically set up. He tried to comply with all the government regulations, and they were just looking for an excuse to take him down. And so, anyway, he got sentenced to 8 years in prison. So he was a regular at these Porcfest before that happened. So now there's a lot of people that want to try to, get him released from prison. I don't know if that's going to be successful or not. He got raided by the government, and he tried to battle the charges, and anyway, got sentenced to 8 years. So anyway, this is what they call soapbox hero.
In Japanese, it actually means intelligence of the center.
Oh, I'm gonna walk over and look at where that house was.
Intelligence of the center, nothing to worry about here.
Okay, there's a house that's on the grounds of. I don't see any fence or anything. So I'm assuming that this house has something to do with the campground. You know, maybe somebody that works here owns it, maybe lives in that house. I don't know. Kind of a weird place for a house. Anyway. I don't know what they're talking about.
All right. While the audience is receiving their bribes, who would like to judge first? First of all right, don't worry something about the bribes coming around, but if I can't hear Scott Horton, I'm going to get grumpy. First of all, great rant. Best rant so far as the rant goes. Second of all, I know I didn't mean that. So I'm willing to believe you for the sake of this variation, and so I will, and also I accepted your soul, which is in my file. So I guess I owe you at least what, 9, right?
Dave, I haven't been this completely since before I transitioned. I went to prison for selling Bitcoin. I love it, but I also fucking hate Bitcoin because it sucks. It's just somebody that has millions of laws if you work with Bitcoin.
Okay, there's another person talking who went to prison. Although they were not sentenced as long as Ian Freeman, there were 6 of them. They were calling them the Crypto Six, who were involved in these Bitcoin ATMs, and were basically set up on bogus charges. So this other individual didn't get as long a sentence as Ian Freeman did.
I was like, this is not your commercial. And he was like, okay.
I guess I'll walk around down here and. Okay. That's stuff for Anarchapulco. That's a great libertarian type event in Acapulco, Mexico. They've got t-shirts here they're giving away. I got a couple earlier. And here's the pirate chain table. Here's the Edge wallet table. If you're not into crypto, or if you are into crypto, if you're not into crypto, I highly recommend that you get into crypto. And highly recommend the Edge wallet. Just go online, do a search for Edge Wallet. It's on the Google Play Store. It's probably the best mobile wallet. That's a wallet for your cell phone that there is. And it's one of the best wallets in general in crypto. And it carries a lot of different cryptocurrencies. You know, of course, it's got Bitcoin and Ethereum and Dogecoin and a bunch of others. It's also got Pirate Chain. I believe they also carry Monero. So highly recommend an Edge wallet. Okay, I'm looking, what's over here? Okay, there's a big Porcfest sign. Okay. There's a big Porcfest sign.
Just because he's a libertarian doesn't mean that he's not an asshole.
Okay, and this is the petition to free Roger Ver. Now, Roger Ver is another guy who's been unfairly held. I don't think he's actually been convicted of anything yet, but he's in jail. Roger Ver was a libertarian from California. He ran for office as a Libertarian Party candidate back in the early 2000s, I believe around 2000 or 2002. Anyway, he was an entrepreneurial guy who got into Bitcoin early when it was at $1 a coin. This was back in 2011. And he spent $20,000 and bought 20,000 Bitcoins. And anyway, obviously Bitcoin has gone up a lot since then. It's gone as high as like $111,000 and something. Recently, I think it's around $104,000 right now. And Roger Ver has been involved in a lot of entrepreneurial things. He ended up becoming very wealthy. I met him back in 2018, and he was, I'm probably worth 100 million, or hundreds of millions back then. And he became a billionaire. Really good guy. I've also got an interview with him from Anarchapulco 2018 on my channel. Just go back and watch that video. And anyway, he's a heck of a good guy. And Roger Ver, his nickname is Bitcoin Jesus. Now, why do they call him Bitcoin Jesus? Well, a couple reasons. Number one, because he would kind of preach the gospel of Bitcoin, and always trying to spread word about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general. And that is decentralized cryptocurrencies not controlled by any government. And he was also very generous. He donated a lot of money to charity. He donated something like $1 million to the Foundation for Economic Education, which spreads information about free market economics. So he's a very generous guy. Anyway, he renounced his American citizenship maybe 10, 11, 12 years ago. And he decided that he was just disgusted with the U.S. government, and he didn't want to pay taxes here anymore. And he became a citizen of the Isle of Nevis and Kitts in the Bahamas, which has no income tax and I think no capital gains tax. Now, you have to pay them to become a citizen. I think it's something like $250,000 or something like that. But he went through the process. He renounced his American citizenship and became a citizen of the Isle of Nevis and Kitts. And he spends a lot of his time overseas, especially in Japan. But he's a world traveler. He still comes back to the U.S. or came back to the U.S. every now and then. Anyway, he, I guess it was about a year, maybe 2 years ago, he was on vacation to Spain. And he got arrested. Why did he get arrested? Because he had a warrant in the United States of America. He did not know that he had a warrant. Why did he have a warrant? His warrant was for tax evasion. The federal government alleges that he did not pay taxes on his Bitcoin before he left the U.S. or renounced his citizenship. When you renounce your American citizenship, there's various things you have to go through to do it, and one of them is they charge you a tax on the way out. Now, at the time, he was holding the Bitcoin, so he hadn't sold it. He hadn't used it for anything. And, of course, Bitcoin was worth a lot less back then, but it was still, he had enough Bitcoin that it was still worth a lot of money. But as far as the rules on reporting Bitcoin, paying taxes on Bitcoin, were pretty vague back then. So he did attempt to comply with whatever the regulations were, even though I'm sure he strongly disagrees with them. And he renounced his citizenship, went on with his life, was living his life. And he actually wrote this book here called Hijacking Bitcoin. He says that Bitcoin has been kind of sabotaged by various bad actors who've kind of, shall we say, taken Bitcoin away. I'm making a video I'm talking about Roger Ver. Oh, okay.
We're actually have a party here tonight.
Oh, okay.
Roger.
Oh, cool. Okay. Well, I'll go to that.
Yeah.
Thanks for the scoop. Is this free? Are these books free?
If you promise you'll read it, I'll let you have it.
Oh, okay. I mean, I could give you some money if you want money for it. I mean, how much is it? Or you want it? Okay, thanks. I just got a free book here. So this is Roger Ver's book, hijacking Bitcoin. Okay, and so anyway, sounds pretty interesting. He said, you know about this book?
Yeah.
So he says that basically.
This is my tent.
Oh, okay. Okay, and what is the tent called?
This is where a combination tent of Monerotopia
Okay.
and the Daylight Freedom Foundation.
Oh,
I'm the
okay.
president of the Daylight
Oh, okay. Is the Monero guy around? Is that Doug Tooman?
Freedom. That's Doug too.
Oh, okay. I met him 3 years ago at a Libertarian Party national convention,
Yeah.
and I told him that I am the person who got the Libertarian Party to accept donations in Bitcoin, and I wanted them to accept donations in Monero. So we went to a meeting at that convention, and we pitched them on accepting donations in Monero, and he even told me a business to tell them to convert the Bitcoin donations to Federal Reserve notes so they can report it to the election department. And anyway, for unbeknownst reasons, they ignored us. They acted like they were going to do it. They never did it. I don't know if they were afraid or lazy or what. Yeah. So anyway, if I see him, I was going to talk to him about that. But anyway, okay. Well, thanks for the book. And what time does the event start?
We're shooting for 8 o'clock tonight.
Okay. Okay.
I know Soapbox Tiger started a little late, so it'll take a little while.
Okay. Well, I'll go to that event. I'll go to
Glad
the.
you kicked
So
it.
this is to free Roger Ver.
Yes, so hopefully you've used the QR code and clicked on it and signed the open letter to Free Roger. I think
Okay.
you're aware that with a lot of pressure and incredible amount of time and dedication of Lynn Albrecht, Ross free.
Yes.
So we're hoping to get Roger free.
Yes.
Charges dropped. I mean, right now he's awaiting extradition in Spain for over a year now.
Yes.
And
That was the same place they got John McAfee.
that is the same.
So if you're wanted by the government, don't go to Spain.
So he's not in prison, so they let him out on bail.
Oh, okay.
But he's fighting extradition, so I know.
Does he have an ankle bracelet?
He has to check in like they took his passport.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
they took his passport and he has to check in like every.
Oh, okay.
48 hours.
Ooh, I just noticed you're carrying an assault rifle. Cool. Okay. Wow, we know we're definitely in New Hampshire and at Porcfest. And then you've got a Xano thing on. Now Xano is an up and coming private by default cryptocurrency. Do you know anything about Xano?
Yes, I do.
Okay, do you want to just give a quick spiel about it? I think it's a really good coin.
Not only is it a private cryptocurrency, but it allows for tokenization, and tokenization is really complex.
What is tokenization?
Most people, it's not an easy explanation.
Okay.
So, paper dollar, right? It
Yeah.
used to represent like actually something, right? We know fiat.
Yeah.
It's nothing now.
Gold or silver, yeah.
So yes, it actually represents something, but it's like imaginary. So tokenization is everything can be tokenized. Everything will be tokenized.
Can you give an example?
So an example of that, your house can be tokenized.
Okay.
So, or a business can be tokenized. So say I have a restaurant, and in today's day and age, you can only get, like, you have to go to your bank and ask for money. It's kind of like you could crowdfund. So I like this restaurant, it's family owned, and they're selling tokens of their restaurant. And I can buy a token of their restaurant. That means I have part ownership in that.
So is that like a stock? So instead of buying a stock, you could buy a token.
You could buy a token. You can tokenize your car. You can tokenize your computer. You can tokenize any asset that's
So
out
if you
there.
tokenize your house and somebody else buys the
beautiful.
token, does that mean they own your house?
If that's, they can own part of your house.
Okay.
If that's the agreement. The beauty on Xano is because the tokenization is in the privacy by default, is you can trade real world assets privately with other people.
Yes.
So yeah, you can trade stocks, bonds, cars, computers, whatever. So everything will eventually be tokenized. We know that that's what the technocracy is trying to do. So you've got two types of tokenization. You've got the tokenization, which is digital tyranny, where they're controlling your asset and saying, "Oh, we don't like what you said online, so we're now going to be able to shut off your computer or shut off the electricity to your house, and your smart house and everything like that." Or because all that's going to be tokenized, your appliance is going to be tokenized and connected to you, and they can shut it off. Or you can tokenize everything on a private chain, which is what Xano can do. Xano also has, in development almost done, is something called confidential layer, where you can take your Bitcoin and convert it through a converter service into Xano and have it through in the confidential layer where you can now use it privately.
Okay, so is it like wrapped Bitcoin or something? I've heard of wrapping it. Okay, it's not the same thing.
It's not the same thing.
Okay, so it can make Bitcoin private?
It can make Bitcoin private.
Okay, that's very
And
interesting.
it's, yes, and so people should be listening. If anybody is a Bitcoin Bitcoin maxi, Roger's case should be actually really concerning to them because it sets a bunch of case law precedents. So back in 14, when he expatriated, there really wasn't a significant designation for what Bitcoin was, right? We didn't have all of all of that wasn't really vetted out to us. And so Roger and his attorneys and lawyers and everybody he hired let's make sure we get this right when I leave because I've got a target on my back, right? He'd already spent time. And to the best of everyone's ability, and his counsel and everything else, he submitted his taxes. So the challenge is they came back and they decided, well, we just want to kind of retroactively change some of the laws. So one, they breached attorney-client privilege, which is like a sacred right. You should be able to seek counsel and have private communication with counsel. So they've breached that. It sets a case law precedent. So attorney-client privilege should be gone. Then they also went and all the things that he submitted was on the advice of counsel, the advice of, so if you, in good faith, you go to your accountant and they tell you this is what you owe and you submit that, and now he's serving jail time. They won't even tell him what he owes them. So he spent over a year asking them, Freedom of Information Act, could you please tell me what I owe you? So it has nothing to do with what his taxes are. It has to do about censorship. It has to do with taking somebody who was one of the most prolific people in the world, spreading the message of decoupling money from government and silencing.
Yeah, so this is politically motivated.
He's a political prisoner.
And I think it's also financially motivated because they know he's rich and they see it's a cash grab. So I think they have double incentive. It's politically motivated and it's a money grab.
And it's a money grab. Plus,
yeah.
I mean, again, if somebody does have Bitcoin and they used it and transacted it along the way, I mean, like here, many people were in Bitcoin in 12 because we heard about it in 2012, 13, 14. And so people sold ice cream for Bitcoin. Pizza.
Yeah, the old pizza, yeah.
Restaurants in New Hampshire. There were a bunch of businesses in New Hampshire that took crypto.
Yeah, I was driving through New Hampshire several years ago and I stopped in Keene and I went to a place called Burger something Burger, Local Burger. Yep. And they sold Bitcoin for burgers. Burgers for Bitcoin, yeah.
And so what would happen if you now have to go back and you have to pay tax on all of that?
Yeah, and there's something in the U.S. Constitution that says no ex post facto laws. That means you can't pass a law and then enforce it retroactively.
But the IRS doesn't necessarily, remember that's a fourth branch of government. The IRS doesn't necessarily play by those rules.
Yeah.
And they can threaten with pretty good luck when you're sitting in a cage with trying to exercise your rights.
Yeah.
And bring up some statute or whatever. Good luck, you're already in the cage.
Yeah.
So that's the point that people are making.
Yeah, and
this case is really going to set some, it's just egregious.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm kind of going off on a side top. I'm not going to get real deep on it, but there's also a lot of evidence, and I agree with it, that the income tax is actually not even properly applied and doesn't even really apply to the domestic earnings of American citizens, that it's supposed to apply to international earnings of American citizens. That is, if you sell a product overseas and you make a profit from it, or non-citizens working within the U.S., then it doesn't actually apply to American citizens. But that's another issue for another day. But anyway, yeah, free Roger Ver. Hopefully we can get him out. We don't know what he's sentenced with because he's in jail, so we have no idea.
He's not in jail. He's out on bail.
Oh, he's out on bail.
He's looking at 109 years.
Okay, which is insane.
And why is, and you know what happened?
Yeah.
So he did his tax return and he mailed it in. The IRS claimed they didn't get the return.
You mean he did that since he's been in Spain?
No, this was
years ago.
Years ago.
Okay.
And then he mailed it in again because they claimed they never received it. And then there was another year. So each one of the returns that he sent in, they're claiming mail fraud, which holds 30 years. So 90 years of that is because he mailed in his tax return. One of which he got mailed in twice because they told him they didn't get it. So okay, well, you just tagged on 30 years for what?
Wow. Now, of course, if he had been, I don't think there were any private by default cryptos around at that time. I think Monero came out in 2014. And that was the first one that was really private. There were some before that claimed to be private, but they really weren't. So Monero was the first one that actually really was private, and it's actually gotten more private since then. The technology's been improving, and now there's also Pirate Chain, and there's Xano, and there's
four primary privacy coins. There's Xano, there's Monero, you have Pirate chain and you have Zcash.
Yeah, the thing with Zcash, though, Zcash is optional privacy. You can turn the privacy on and off, and they found that like 90% of the people are too lazy or don't know how to turn it on.
There's also on Zano, I don't know if you saw this here, also created on Zano in the private network is something called Freedom Dollar, or FUSD.
I've heard about this. I didn't know it was out yet.
Yes, it is. It's out.
So it's a
there's
private
actually
stable
places
coin?
here- It's a private stable
Ah.
coin. There's places here at Porcfest that take that for your dinner, or if you want to go grab something.
Okay, so this is tied to the US dollar, but it's completely private.
It's
It floats with the value of the US dollar.
yes.
Or at least
kind of.
close enough.
Close enough.
Close enough. Because that's one of the problems with crypto is that it's volatile.
Yes, and so this is why with the appeal of stablecoins. But what people fail to understand is the Genius Act and the stablecoin bills that we've got between the Congress and the Senate. They're really a backdoor CBDC.
Yeah, that's the central bank digital currency,
So it's
which is
central-
bad.
Which is bad. And so when you think about it, well, you're going to have a bank like JP Morgan Chase or something issue it. That's a central bank, and it's a digital currency. A stablecoin is a digital currency. Central bank digital currency. Do the math, folks.
Yeah.
So this is really a backdoor central bank digital currency. Because it's just because they've called it a stablecoin doesn't mean that it's not that in functionality. And once the large banks have it, they're going to obviously want to limit out the competition. That was also another reason why, Biden had the Executive Order 14067, which created a whole of government attack on all of crypto. 87,000 IRS agents that were hired.
Yeah.
The majority of them were actually hired to go after crypto.
Oh, wow.
People holding crypto. So if you're a crypto, whoever's
Yeah.
working on that,
Yeah.
it's really important that you understand. This is why Roger's case, again, is so important. Because
Yeah.
it's going to set case law precedent in that fourth branch of government that people don't like to admit.
Yeah, now do you know, does Xano doing anything to have like a stable coin backed by gold or silver? Also, are they doing anything with that?
I know that Daylight Freedom Foundation is working on creating, yes, a gold-backed stable.
There is a crypto called Pax, which follows the price of gold, and I think there might be something else out there, but they're not private. In other words, so I don't know. Okay, folks, if you're listening to this, the majority of cryptocurrencies are not private. There's only a very tiny, maybe 1% or less than 1% of cryptos that are private. The rest of them, anyone can track and trace it. Anybody, you could have an elementary school kid could track Bitcoin.
And because you have chain analysis and you have AI combined together, it makes that easier than you think. And then people will go, well, I've only done peer-to-peer transactions. All that you have to do is one of the people you've done peer-to-peer transactions, they can link this stuff. They can find you.
Yeah, this is why there should be a big move to privacy cryptos.
Exactly, and that's what in our tent, the Daylight Freedom Foundation is encouraging people to move to privacy alternatives like Xano, and use wallets like Edge Wallet, Cake Wallet. There's good wallets that work with all the private cryptos to move over to that, or gold and silver.
Physical gold and silver.
Gold and silver, self-custody, because when you have it, remember when gold was confiscated.
1933.
Yes, thank you for adding that in. When gold was confiscated, they didn't go door to door knocking on the doors to confiscate the gold. What they did is that if you had it in a bank vault, if you had it in a safety deposit box, that was easy pickings. They grabbed it from you. But if you had it in your house stuffed under your mattress, they weren't going to door to take it.
Now, do you know, did they put out threats for people to turn in their gold and silver?
I'm sure they did. And
Some people probably did, but not everybody.
You know what? There were a lot of threats a couple years back, weren't there?
What about the
shot?
yeah.
There were a lot of threats. You're going to lose your job. You had your you don't go.
Or the masks.
You're going to do all of this thing. So 80% of the population complied, but about 20% didn't.
Yeah.
Depends where you're at. But like here in New Hampshire, about 20% did not comply at all. Didn't take any.
Yeah.
So there will be.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Who won't comply. So that's one of the things. But this is a great brochure. You can do staking on Xano. You have P2P cryptocurrency trading, decentralized exchange. They have a governance system, different wallets. So you can have a desktop wallet that you can actually use do staking on. You have a mobile wallet. You can use third party. You get aliases. So instead of me saying, here's my string of 72 characters to remember my address, I could just send it to Jane Doe 123, and that's my Xano.
Now remember, folks, a lot of you out there may have missed getting in on Bitcoin and Ethereum while they were cheap, and you might think it's too late. Well, guess what? Monero's still pretty cheap,
Yes.
and these are really cheap.
These are
Xano and Pirate Chain,
Yep.
these cryptos have a ton of potential, and they're very cheap right now. So if you're just somebody who's looking to make some money,
Yeah.
these are probably good opportunities if you miss Bitcoin and Ethereum when they were cheap.
Oh yes, completely. This is and again, Bitcoin is not private,
Yeah, neither is Ethereum.
and neither is Ethereum.
Neither is Dogecoin.
Absolutely
Yeah.
not. And then you have all the other, meme coins and the Ponzi schemes.
And most of these meme coins are junk.
Junk. They're junk.
Almost all of them are junk.
And the reason why the majority of people here are the early adopters into crypto is because it decoupled. It was the philosophical reason, because it decoupled money from state.
Yeah.
And so, as long as money is coupled with state, we get the boom and bust cycles. Your money, it's controlled. You have inflation. You have, all of these things that you have because government is coupled with money.
Yeah.
So we looked at Bitcoin as an opportunity to decouple money from.
Yeah, it was a long time libertarian
It
dream.
was a long time libertarian dream.
Yeah.
And the problem is again, it was not anonymous. And so things like Xano and Monero and Pirate, right?
Pirate Chain,
Pirate
yes.
Chain.
Pirate Chain.
Those
And
are-
Wow
those-
Nero's another one.
Yeah. And but those are meant to be peer-to-peer cash, private exchange. Just as if I were to give you a dollar bill for something. Remember, money used to be private, and people forgot that. The young, this is what I find, is that the young crowd, they get technology, they don't understand privacy because they post everything about themselves on some type of social media. The older folks, my age and older, we might get privacy, but we don't necessarily get technology.
And ironically, these old cash that you carry in your wallet, now there's still, this is still government fiat currency, and it's still bad, but if you hand somebody cash, it is private.
It is private.
So it's kind of better than using a debit card or a credit card.
Don't think that you can rely on cash because
Yeah.
they are coming with nanochipping and a way of completely tracking cash.
Yeah.
So just as
That's coming down the road.
Coming down the road. So just as the dollars have a serial number now, so it'll eventually will have technology in it that it will be completely trackable. Because again, they want to track you.
Yeah, and just to be clear with everybody listening, so Monero, Pirate Chain, and Xano, and a few other coins are so private that no government agency can track them. Not the CIA, not the Russian intelligence, British MI5, Israeli Mossad, the IRS. The IRS can't track. In fact, the IRS put out a bounty several years ago. It was like $650,000. Yeah, to track Monero. And nobody's been able to collect the bounty because nobody can track it. And they have developers working on these things, always making them better. They're staying a few steps ahead of the government agents. And so these cryptocurrencies are totally private. You could have $1 million, $1 billion on it, and I could trade it with somebody standing over there or somebody over in England or China or Nigeria or Brazil right now, and nobody would know except me and the person trading.
Exactly. And some of the, and again, on Xano also has something that's it allows for trustlessness. So say like we wanted to, there's ability to put things in an escrow account. So say we want to transact a car, but I don't know you, you don't know me, and we're going to do it on Xano. So you have to put so much Xano up front.
Oh, so if I'm buying the car?
I have to put money up front so that it's a mutual destruction. So that I'm sure that you actually deliver the vehicle, and you're sure I actually pay you.
Okay, how does Xano know if I gave you the car?
It's an agreed upon. It's agreed upon.
So in other words, if I'm buying a car from you in Xano, I put the Xano up, and then you put,
it's a mutual.
and then you deliver the car, and then when I get the car, I say I got the car, and then
yes, I got the money from you.
okay, how does that stop me from screwing you over, and just saying taking the
It's
car?
It's mutual destruction. So you will lose 50% of the value of what you were selling me for. So you can set it at whatever the amount is depending on the risk.
Oh, okay.
Risk factor. So you could go, it's 50%. So you would walk away. Okay, well you may have screwed me out of that, but you did also lose 50% of whatever.
Okay, now here's the other thing. what if I get the car from you, act like, okay, yeah, the transaction's done and everything, and then you go off, and then I say, I'm going to screw you over. I got the car. Now I'm going to say I never got it. How would you prevent that from happening?
It would have been other. They have it all.
Okay. Well, this is very interesting. So it's a way.
They went out to dinner.
Oh, okay. Well, what's your name?
My name is Eileen Day. I'm the
Oh, are you related to Aaron Day? Are you?
I am Mrs. Day.
You're married then. Yeah, I know who Aaron Day is. I've watched him online.
Mrs. Day.
He seems like a very interesting guy. He was the one, I heard about Xano before him, but he was the one that really promoted it and brought it to the fore. I heard about Xano about a year before that, and I thought it had a lot of potential, maybe a year or so. Now, didn't he like run for office?
Yes, he ran for president. I ran his campaign.
Didn't he run in the like Republican primary?
So
how many ballots did he get on? Oh.
So what we were doing, we were running to create awareness about the central bank digital currencies because we noticed a bunch of Liberty people, especially people involved in crypto, crypto and Liberty, horrible things were happening to them. Like Ian Freeman got arrested. You had, there was Ross was already in
Roger Ver,
So it turns out it was the Biden Executive Order 14067 that did a whole of government approach to attack crypto. I mentioned that earlier. And so when you dig in deeper to that, you recognize that it was meant to attack, and then we kept digging deeper and deeper.
Oh, that's okay.
Coming up with his book, The Final Countdown, the People's Last Stand Against Digital Tyranny, Crypto, Gold, and Silver. I think that's the full title of his book that he came out with. And we were going around the country promoting the book and just people's understanding of what a central bank digital currency is, because most people don't understand where the financial system is or the history of fiat, that it always fails. Fiat will always fail. And so it's like a Ponzi scheme and a Ponzi scheme, and we are like in the late days of railroad, right? Our currency system is about to collapse.
Yeah, that is money backed by nothing, and the government just makes it up.
The book gave a little history of crypto, a little history of gold and silver, and just the monetary system and the entities behind this. You've got the WEF, the World Economic Forum, the UN.
The Federal Reserve
System. You've got the Bureau of International Settlements, BIS. And all of these entities are working together towards this idea of technocracy. So that's why Aaron started the campaign.
Now I've got a question about. So he didn't actually make it on the ballot anywhere though. Was he on the ballot like in New Hampshire or anywhere?
No, he ran. He started off
or was he a write-in?
Republican, and then ended up switching to being an independent.
I've been a member of the Libertarian Party for a long time. Does he have an interest in running as a Libertarian for president or any other office?
There's actually a couple people that have been trying to recruit him for that.
He sounds like he'd be a good candidate.
This is what we're focusing on for now.
Okay.
Is what we're focusing on is, again, to encourage everybody, because as much to our dismay and our fear. So if the election had gone otherwise, and some of the things that have recently been brought forth were brought forth by a different administration, people would be up in arms. And somehow people have just welcomed technocracy into our house because the person is
with Plantier.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and all of those things. So it actually made our job harder because people were up in arms by what was happening under the Biden administration, going, "Oh my gosh, where our freedoms are going. We got to do something."
And now a lot of people think Trump is better. Maybe they think he's less evil. Some people think he's really going to make America great again.
And yes, and all that we've seen is that it's really expedited the speed at which this technocracy is being into the United States and being really shoved down our throat. So we're going around and teaching people how to use these assets. We're working on creating new workshops because it's a 4-hour workshop. Because most people,
I heard you did one in like New Jersey. Was that like a year ago or a couple years? Oh, okay. I heard about the New Jersey one. Okay.
Other countries. So we've done like small workshops or regular workshops, at least like multiple states. So we've traveled.
Yeah. Well, if he's interested in running for the office, the Libertarian Party could use a candidate, and I think he could make a good presidential candidate. I mean, from what I've heard of him.
Not for now.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
it's this threat because I look at it as if once they can control the money with the central bank digital currency. Remember, they're trying to eliminate all the options, which is why they're attacking crypto. Because crypto is an option to a central bank digital currency. So that's why it's being attacked from all acts. And even though Trump rescinded that executive order that Biden put in 14067, he didn't stop the lawfare. So there was all of these cases like Roman Storm and Roger and Ian. All these people who were attacked under that executive order and gone after. I'm sure there's hundreds more that I don't know their names off the top of my head. But those people are still being persecuted. So Trump never stopped the lawfare that was attached to that executive order.
Yeah, he threw us a breadcrumb by freeing Ross Ulbricht. It was like a breadcrumb. I mean, I'm glad it happened. I'm glad he's out. But it's really... like, there's still lots of people locked up for victimless crimes, unconstitutional crimes, false and exaggerated charges, and it didn't change any law. He basically just... and Ross was in for a long time. In fact, he was in before Trump even got elected the first time. Trump had his whole first term to pardon him, and he didn't do it. And he was asked to during his first term, and he just ignored it. And so Ross sat in prison for like an extra 8 years because Trump didn't do anything. But I'm glad he's out. I mean, at least he did that. It was a nice breadcrumb.
And he did it like when he said day one. It was technically day one, so he did keep his word on that.
Yeah.
So there was, I think, whatever momentum that we may have had in the beginning, we've lost, and then we've seen everything with Palantir coming in. So it is like a nightmare.
Yeah, I think it's like good cop, bad cop. You know what I mean? Like, or good cop, or it's like the Brer Rabbit, the old Song of the South thing where they throw you in the, please don't throw me in the briar patch, please don't throw me in the briar patch, and then they want to be thrown in the briar, and so like they play off of each other. Now, I mean, to me, Trump's rhetoric is actually preferable to Biden's rhetoric and to Kamala Harris's rhetoric overall. But I didn't vote for Trump. I never voted for him. I never trusted him, and I never voted for him. But I'm just saying, I can see why some people did. You know, I can understand why they did.
Understandably, but the fact that we have this threat coming down. So again, once they control the money, will there be a Libertarian Party 5 years after that? Probably not.
Yeah.
If you have whatever your pet issue is, you're going to be censored.
They can cut off the funding. They can
cut off. If they can shut off the truckers' bank account, they can do that now. People
in Canada, yeah.
So we almost
the truckers protesting COVID.
Look, as Aaron gave in a talk yesterday, so he wrote an article that was published on the Brownstone Institute called "The 50 Shades of Digital Tyranny." Right? So it was a good play on words. But where we are we're kind of like in the middle. So we already are under some degree of bondage by our current system. 96% of our system is already cashless. It's already digital.
Yeah.
Your bank account is really just numbers in an Oracle database.
Yeah, most of the dollars in existence exist on a computer screen. They're not even a printed piece of paper for them.
The United States government needs more money. They go to the Federal Reserve and say, "Hey, we'll write you an IOU. Can you print us some more money?" And the Federal Reserve, "How much do you need?" "Oh, we'll just add a zero here to a database." You know, money printer go whir, right?
And that's the primary reason for inflation.
That's the primary reason for inflation. And then they start, like sending people checks. So and it's just based on an IOU that the government gives to them. So it's out of thin air, and it's a number in a database. The same thing with your bank account. Now, you trust your bank right now. Have you read your terms and services? Like, people don't.
Most people don't because it's small print. It's multiple pages.
You would have to spend, by the number of click wrap agreements between the apps on phones and everything, an hour a day, every day of your life, just reading through those agreements, and have some degree of legal understanding, right?
Yeah, which most people don't.
Most people don't. You don't. They can close your bank account at any point in time without cause. They can freeze your funds without cause. They can change the terms of service. They sell your data. They do all of these things, and you don't recognize they're already doing it. So we already have, there's like 13 different programs in the government that are already tracking you. So the IRS can already talk to your bank, and all the government agencies can talk to your bank and get your banking information from you because they're going to tell it to them. And so you don't already realize that there's nothing that you think the way it works really works that way. So we already have technically a central bank digital currency. It's just not it's in a mid-level of tyranny because they can debank you. We know a lot of people think of Mariana Trump was debanked, but Dr. Mercola was debanked. There are lots of people who've already been debanked.
Lots of people that the people in power don't like. They debank you. They'll make it so you can't process credit cards.
Yes.
So
And so we all know people who've having to bank. You had the truckers in Canada who
We're protesting COVID mandates.
Yeah, and they ended up getting debanked, and people who actually,
They got donations in Bitcoin that were tracked.
and they actually got one, and anybody who donated to them got in trouble.
Yeah.
So in Canada, so talk about egregious. Like you can't even. It's kind of like, oh, you don't have a food vendor's license and you gave a homeless person a sandwich. Now they're going to put you in jail.
Yeah.
the nonsense of that. So nevertheless, we don't. It's most people don't understand how bad it is already. That we already have a degree of tracking, censorability. Think of what your HSA card or an FSA card is. That if you have a job, you can get an FSA card.
I don't know what that is.
What it is it's a flexible spending account.
Oh.
But it dictates what you can spend it on.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be for specific medical things. So you can't go in and buy beer with it. You can't buy food with it, but you can buy these specific medical items. You can use it for your dental appointment. You can, and you have to justify the expense, right? But it's already programmed. It's already programmable digital money, because I can't take that and buy something at Walmart. I can't buy shampoo at a Walmart with it, because it's not a medical expense. So it's already programmable digital money.
Okay.
And most people, if they have a job within the system, they can get either an FSA card or an HSA card that's tied with their health insurance for health-related expenses. They have even one that the FSA even ties in with dependent care if you want to use those dollars. It's pre-tax dollars. So that's already completely censorable money. So people don't realize we already have many of the things that they're afraid of. They already exist today, and it's just the level of tyranny. So as more of these things become implemented, which again with the Genius Bill and the stable coins, and everybody's cheering the stable coins on, as those things become implemented, we're just going to go up a level of tyranny to the point where it's going to be tied. The end goal is to be tied to a social credit score. We know that, like in China. But it's going to be tied to energy credits. So that, and carbon usage. So if you've noticed, if you're paying attention, you go to Google Flights, or you go to American Airlines, they're going to give you how much carbon usage this is.
So they can put limits on how much you can travel, things like that.
So, yes, and so your identity is going to be tied to your bank account, your job, your tokenized assets, your home, your computer, and everything. And there's even a credit card, a MasterCard by Doconomy, that is voluntary. You can go ahead and get the card, and instead of giving you points or anything like that, the card will shut off. You cannot use the card when you've reached your carbon limit. So,
and then how do they decide how much carbon limit somebody gets to use? Because I'm sure some people will get a lot more than others.
This is how much carbon people use a year, and there's a goal by 2030. Just they give you an agenda 2030 with 17 sustainable development goals. I think it's sustainable development goal number 13. The carbon credits are tied into that. So somebody decided we have to reduce down to 10% of what our current consumption is. So it will shut off. So you can't purchase anymore. So you can't. Once your card is maxed out, once you have done enough carbon credits, your card shuts off.
But I'm thinking there's going to be some people who are in the elite who are going to get a lot more credit than others. Just like in North Korea.
Because they can offset their carbon credits. They can think about. They're already conditioning us to think that if I give enough money to this, then I can buy carbon credits for someone else. Think of, all right, well, you're poor, you need this, I'll trade you this, but I'm going to take your carbon credits, and now you can get less food. Because I can afford that. And now I can go use it for myself, and I can take your carbon credits. So it can go really bad.
And then under this digital currency, if somebody doesn't like your politics, they could turn off your digital currency.
They can turn, and not only, again, when we talk about tokenization and the tyranny of tokenization, it can go down the tyranny route. So think of everything. People are thrilled. Oh, I got a new smart meter in my house. I got a new smart this in my house. I got a smart refrigerator or whatever. Those things are going to be tokenized and attached to you. So they don't like your speech. So, okay, now they're going to take you down a tier of your money. Because eventually with AI, we're going to have universal basic income. Sooner than you think. So there's going to be a level of you. So we're going to now stop your money. We're going to lower what you can access to for medical care, because we don't like what you say. And oh gosh, you're using your computer to do it? Now we can shut your computer off. And if you go to buy it because it's tokenized and that token is attached to you, you can't even sell that, because anything that's attached to you, because you're a bad person, right? You're one of the unfavorable things. you won't be able to even to sell that because of the tokens attached to you.
So it's like the mark of the beast.
It's the mark of the beast
Like,
on you completely. So you won't be able to buy
Or sell.
or even trade things that you have because everything will be tokenized and attached to you in this tyrannical system.
And so one of the solutions to this is Monero, Xano, and Pirate Chain. If the public, if a critical mass of the population would just start using these privacy coins, we could put a stop to a lot of this stuff. People got to use it.
People are protesting, we don't want to go to a war, we don't want to do this. Have you looked at what's in your 401k?
Probably.
You don't like Pfizer or Moderna or any of these other big pharmaceuticals who killed grandma and who knows with the quad shot? You don't like those? Look what your 401k. Who do you support in your 401k? You're probably supporting BAE, you're probably supporting Raytheon, you're probably supporting Pfizer and don't even know it. So you're actually supporting these things that you claim that you're against. Take your money out of that.
Yeah, these are companies that are profiteering from the tyranny.
Take your money out of that system. You can. You can take it out as a loan. There's ways that you can ask based on your company's rules or agreement. Take your money out of your 401k and put it in these. Now I can't give financial advice. I'm not a licensed financial broker. There's my disclaimer. So I'm not telling you to do that. It's not financial advice. But I'm saying if you want to put your money where your mouth is, that's how you do it.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, thanks. This has been a good impromptu interview here. You just kind of popped up out of nowhere with a lot of interesting information. And you're once again, last name was Day, first name is Eileen Day, and the husband of Aaron, or wife of Aaron Day. Okay, well, thanks a lot. And this is, I'm Andy, and my channel is Libertarian Revolution. So I'm going to continue here. I'll just stop this for now.